Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Rainbow District School Board for April the 16th. Firstly, let me apologize for us being just a little bit late today because our previous meeting went just a little bit longer. So we're here live and in person and online. So welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Just a reminder that we are being live streamed, and we will start tonight's meeting with our land acknowledgement. The Rainbow District School Board would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Anishinaabe, including the Anishinaabe, the Anishinaabe, and the Wampanoag nations. We would like to acknowledge that we are situated within the Robertson-Huron Treaty of 1850, and we want to recognize the inherent rights of the Anishinaabe that maintain these lands from time immemorial. Thank you very much. Can we do a roll call, please, Director?
Trustee Dubosky.
Present.
Trustee Farrell.
Present.
Trustee Gibson.
Present.
Trustee Cosmerly.
Present.
Trustee McCauley.
Present.
Trustee Dewar.
Present.
Trustee Hunda.
Present.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
Present.
Trustee Clement.
Present.
Student Trustee Green.
Present.
Student Trustee Jacko Sywink.
So the first agenda item is approval of our agenda. We'll need a mover and a seconder that the agenda for the regular meeting of April 16th be approved. So moved by Trustee McCauley, seconded by Trustee Dewar. Any additions or adding to it? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrell.
In favor?
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
In favor.
Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Section B of our agenda, preliminary declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, Section C, we move to presentations, and we'll call upon the Director of Education to introduce our presentation for tonight.
Thank you, Chair Farrell, and thank you, trustees, for this opportunity to present again tonight. This is another one of our efforts to provide updates on some of our strategic priorities, and with that, we do have a great team that I'll turn to Superintendent McNamara to introduce and start our presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Director Bourget. This evening, we will focus on two priorities in strategic directions, literacy and numeracy, as well as student success and achievement, as we provide an update on reading and writing in Rainbow schools. Literacy, as you know, is the foundation for all learning. Building strong literacy skills in students begins with explicit instruction, but crosses all disciplines. Tonight, you will see how we are borrowing some of the concepts from our math teachers that they're using to enhance and extend literacy learning. I am pleased to introduce Melanie Bertrand, our Principal of Student Success. Principal Bertrand leads a team of talented educators who implement best practices to improve reading and writing in all of our classrooms. Principal Bertrand.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. I am pleased to provide an update on literacy initiatives from grades 7 to 12. The work that we do to support literacy is multifaceted and involves a team, really, of K to 12 educators. We are fortunate to have two members of the program team here tonight, Amanda Berry, give a little wave there, Amanda, and Cara Farrell-Bernard, over here. Along with Dr. Tiffany Roberts, who wasn't able to join us this evening. They work directly with grades 7 to 12 teachers, and they will be highlighting some of the initiatives related to literacy this year. During tonight's presentation, we will discuss the connection between literacy and student success and outline how we set directions for professional learning and focus for the year. We will review some information about the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, and will highlight professional learning to date while illustrating some best practices with a focus on building thinking classrooms. And what is literacy? Literacy is a complex concept, and we use it often, but rarely define it. There are many types of literacy in education. For this evening's presentation, we will define literacy as the ability to engage with language to construct meaning in a variety of contexts. It involves reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and the transference of those skills from inside of a primary language classroom to increasingly complex and different arenas, such as science or social studies courses in high school and beyond. Literacy is tied to student success from the early years on. First, students learn to read, and then they read to learn. As students progress through the grades, literacy skills are required to achieve success in all of the content areas. Students must meet the literacy requirement as set out by the Ministry of Education for graduation. Being proficient in the use of language, or being literate, has benefits that go well beyond high school. When we develop and nurture literacy skills in our students, we open doors and opportunities that are necessary for citizenship. And this certainly speaks to the mission of the board. Together, we prepare students to become lifelong learners, achieving their full potential as confident, caring members of society. Sometimes the word literacy, for high school teachers especially, conjures up a very specific task, the literacy test. Students write the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test in grade 10. That assessment has traditionally been administered in the fall, but in recent years there has been an additional opportunity to write the test in the spring. It's happening right now, in fact. Amanda was at Espanola High School today, yes. The test is digital and is based on curriculum up to the end of grade 9. It includes reading tasks, one short written response to reading, both reading and writing multiple choice questions, and one long writing task. This is a graduation requirement, as mentioned, so it is an important assessment. Typically, students will enroll in the Ontario Secondary School Literacy course or retake the test if they are unsuccessful on their first attempt. So in addition to infusing OSSLT, as we say, type tasks into classrooms, into that work that happens in classrooms daily, schools conduct a practice assessment based on the EQAO framework. So literacy program leaders and teachers collaborate to assess the data from the practice test and determine student need. Literacy teams in each school then work with school administration and a literacy coordinator to plan and deliver intensive support sessions based on individual student needs and data trends over time. Support sessions include individual or one-to-one, small group, and whole class explicit instruction, literacy workshops and carousels, and after-school study sessions. Finally, students participate in a practice onboarding session so that they are familiar with the digital platform and the suite of support tools within the testing environment. Planning professional learning is an intentional process. With respect to grades 7 to 12, professional learning is responsive to the revised language and English curricula, to the school improvement planning process, and to the data, including the OSSLT results. We have several models of delivery for professional learning related to literacy this year. In-school supports, which include individual teacher and school team learning, subject council meetings, a professional activity day dedicated to literacy, bite-sized professional development, and a book study called The Writing Revolution. We're going to unpack a few of those things for you now. In-school literacy supports continue in schools. The program team may be called to present best practices at staff meetings or department meetings, or they may offer lunch and learn sessions where staff join a coordinator to unpack a specific strategy. They don't make lunch, they offer the sessions during lunch. Do you make lunch? No. This year, there has been a very intentional at the elbow support of teachers directly in their classrooms. Even though our team of consultants and coordinators has always been available for this level of support, this model has been used more frequently this year. Regardless of the model, our team remains responsive to school need, often related to the school improvement plan or to teacher request and interest, with the shared goal of improving student achievement. For example, Kara recently was at Manitoulin Secondary School with a group of science teachers working with them on supporting vocabulary in science classrooms. Kara plans to co-teach a lesson with a staff member as a next step. This was an identified need in the school improvement plan. This week, Tiffany, who's not with us this evening, will be supporting a new teacher who is participating in the new teacher induction program. They will be co-planning lessons with specific attention to literacy across the curriculum. And Amanda has been receiving many requests to demonstrate the application of the Thinking Classroom strategy to support writing in different subject areas. You'll hear more about this strategy later in the presentation. And this year, there has been a renewed focus on subject councils. Each council is comprised of educators leading and/or working in a specific discipline, like science, business, arts, English. Subject council meetings occur several times throughout the year, bringing together educators who teach in specific areas and who are working within a similar discipline. Naturally, subject councils include English, and by extension, some professional learning related to reading, writing, speaking, and listening. In other words, we talk about literacy in every single one of those subject council meetings. These meetings also include support for the program Leaders of Literacy. They have important work, and they work closely with student success teams, guidance departments, and their school administration as they facilitate the literacy test and develop intervention plans for students who might need additional support before they write the test. Student success teachers from grades 7 to 12 are highly involved in the support of literacy initiatives in schools. They run leveled literacy intervention groups to close gaps in reading and develop success plans during student success meetings. And they say necessity is the mother of invention. Bite-sized PD, we love that title, was developed to provide a professional learning to staff when gathering together in person was a challenge for us. The program team created multiple opportunities for after-school virtual drop-in sessions, which are 30 minutes in length. Some of the topics related to literacy that have been offered include using diagnostic tools to drive instruction, structured literacy and shared reading, structured literacy and guided reading, supporting multilingual learners, an asset-based approach, developing disciplinary literacy across the content areas, and using morphology to teach vocabulary across the curriculum. I think I talked to you a little bit about morphology earlier this year, and it's a word that scares some people, but it just means studying of words and how they are formed and how those pieces of the words relate to each other. When we first talked to our educators about morphology this year, their eyes widened, but now everybody understands and they feel supported. One of my favorite days this year has been the PA Day we held on November 10th. As wonderful as opportunities that we provide for short virtual drop-in sessions and things of that nature, nothing is as impactful as the professional learning day that we had on November 10th. We saw that teachers were eager to gather together and learn in person. So on this day, every grade 7 and 8 teacher came together and focused on best practices for the delivery of the new language curriculum. In addition to sessions on numeracy and mental health, Teachers engaged in learning around structure and best practice for reading instruction and effective writing instruction. And I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, oh, it sounds fantastic. But I cannot tell you how utterly wonderful that day was, because we haven't seen that kind of gathering of educators in the same room in a long time post-pandemic. So the energy and the synergy and the gratitude for the opportunity to come to learn was very palpable that day. There is nothing like a group of educators who are excited to learn something new. So we knew that we were addressing both a need and an interest in that room on that day. Here's a little snapshot of the crowd. That's a corner of the room. There were over 100 people in that room. And you can see Amanda and Kara doing a great job up there at the front, engaging the participants. And we've included some of the teacher feedback from a survey that was conducted following the PA Day in the text bubbles, which I know are hard for you to read, so I'll capture that a little bit. Here's some highlights. I loved the PD and just wanted to say how much I enjoyed it. I'm always up for more help in grammar, you don't hear every day, and word work ideas in language. I found it very interesting and wish to implement that activity in my grade 8 classroom. So the day also fueled a request for the coordinators to support teacher development directly in schools and classrooms, as they have been doing. And finally, in addition to in-person, larger group PD, we also support in-person, smaller group PD. And at this time, I invite Kara to come forward, tell you about our professional book study, or as we like to call it, our book club.
So to talk a little bit about the Writing Revolution, we started by selecting a relevant resource that we wanted to guide the work of our professional book study. So we considered a number of options, and we decided on the Writing Revolution. And we decided on it for a couple of reasons. One, it provides the roadmap for teaching language conventions for reading and writing without the use of worksheets. It also shows us that writing is connected to reading and content learning at the same time. It encourages the use of shared texts students are familiar with to encourage that deeper thinking and learning. It explained also how we can use systematic, explicit, and direct instruction of techniques along with targeted feedback to support students in a timely manner as they build their skills as writers and readers. So it provided a clear, coherent method for instruction that can happen in literacy classrooms and across curriculum areas. It supports the teaching of writing skills and content simultaneously. It advocates for beginning with oral communication first, such as developing word choice, syntax, grammar, in responses, all before putting pencil to paper. This gives all students an entry point for learning and growing as writers. As our team has been working with teachers to implement scaffolding or planning to support students along the way, we appreciated the Writing Revolution that it provides practical strategies that support all students in mixed ability classrooms. In addition, this resource has a pacing guide for writing across the school year or the semester, recognizing that composition skills are built upon previously taught foundational skills. During the book study, we engaged in conversations about literacy instruction in both the literacy block as well as how we integrate literacy instruction across the curriculum. Together, we followed a scope and sequence of instruction that moved from sentence-level work to single and multi-paragraph compositions. As a group, we both designed and engaged in learning activities that teachers have been able to apply in their classrooms. Teachers are sharing how the implementation of that methodology in their classrooms is impacting student engagement and achievement. In fact, we're meeting again tomorrow to discuss chapters 7 and 8, and our final meeting will be on May 1st. This book club has been highly engaging and inspiring, as I'm sure Amanda, my co-facilitator, will agree. The response, engagement, and enthusiasm on the part of teachers within the book club is a testament to the shared commitment to literacy and practice.
Book club is really fun. Really fun. Director Bourget visited once with me. Thank you, Kara. We will now examine a specific strategy that is connected to the initiatives described so far. I touched on this a little bit during an update earlier this year, but since then, the Building Thinking Classrooms has become a more widely used approach in the support of literacy. Leveraging the work begun by our colleagues in math, we are seeing the Thinking Classroom approach as a very effective way to teach literacy and language skills. It harnesses the power of high-yield strategies that have been a focus of our professional learning this year. Whether used to support literacy in a geography class or in an English class, this approach centers on oral communication, frequent and immediate feedback, and most importantly, supports deep, extended student thinking and learning. Amanda will now share more about the Building Thinking Classrooms approach as it supports literacy.
Building Thinking Classrooms originates with Dr. Peter Liljedahl. As a longtime math teacher and professor at Simon Fraser University, his work is grounded in approaches to teaching and learning in mathematics. However, his work can and has been applied to a variety of subjects and is outlined in one of his publications. Dr. Peter Liljedahl made virtual presentations to our board on 2 occasions, in February 2022 and in June 2022. At that time, the focus was on supporting math teachers. The latter session was part of our de-streamed learning day, when all attendees received a copy of his Building Thinking Classrooms in Mathematics book, and every school received a copy of his follow-up book, Modifying Thinking Classrooms for Different Settings. This is to say that his work is not new to Rainbow, but tonight we can share that it has supported our efforts in literacy. Here are some of the key components of the Thinking Classrooms framework that classroom teachers have been using to support learning and differentiated instruction in literacy. At the start of a Thinking Classroom lesson, students are provided with a rich task or problem to solve. Students are placed in randomized groupings to collaborate with peers. Students next demonstrate their learning using vertical non-permanent surfaces, or whiteboards, rather than by writing on paper or at computers. Instructions and teacher feedback are provided orally rather than in writing. Student collaboration and thinking is made visible. What students have accomplished together and where they are in their thinking around a task is evident on their whiteboard. The teacher circulates and provides feedback and scaffolding using hints and extensions. Feedback and growth are happening in the moment. Questioning by the teacher and peers allows for thinking to be shared. This allows for students to consider different perspectives and to build on the ideas of others to construct meaning. You will notice some of these strategies in the photos that we will be sharing this evening. Thinking classrooms make learning visible. After selecting rich writing tasks connected to the curriculum, the use of vertical non-permanent surfaces, such as whiteboards or wipeable chart paper, are used to optimize high-yield strategies that support instruction. Using vertical non-permanent surfaces increases discussion and enthusiasm for tasks, increases participation and student accountability, encourages perseverance during problem solving, and in the case of writing, encourages non-linear thinking. Students are more willing to revise their work. Finally, this strategy allows for teachers to provide immediate feedback and for students to likewise immediately implement this feedback. There is no delay. Here is what working on vertical non-permanent surfaces looks like in action. In this photo, students in a graded classroom are collaborating to draft an opinion essay outline in response to a shared text. While one student is writing, you will notice that all group members are engaged and supporting the work. As you can see, this is an iterative process wherein students negotiate meaning and add their thinking to the whiteboard. Students can see their thinking, and so can the teacher, enabling teachers to support students by providing appropriate hints and encourage thinking by providing extensions as needed. Another simple yet powerful strategy to optimize thinking is the use of visibly random groups. This works best when students are in randomized groups of 3. Groupings of 3 encourage rich discussions with more ideas shared than in groups of 2, and more productivity and accountability than in larger groups of 4. Using visibly random groups encourages willingness to collaborate and engagement, elimination of social barriers, learning from and with other people, increased knowledge mobility, sharing of ideas with others, and greater reliance within and between groups for answers, and less reliance on the teacher for answers. Here's what this strategy looks like in action. In this photo, students in an ESL classroom are creating different sentence types, statements, questions, exclamations, and commands, alongside ensuring that each sentence contains the correct corresponding punctuation in response to photos connected to a shared reading. Notice that the classroom teacher, coaching students on the right, is providing formative feedback to a group. Students can implement the feedback in a timely manner. Scaffolding of instruction and teacher feedback, therefore, is happening in the moment. With students relying on each other and their small groups to persevere in their problem solving, the classroom teacher can provide more targeted support to students who visibly need it to keep thinking. There is more conferring with students and less hovering as students work on the assigned task. At this point, I invite Kara to come up so that we can connect 2 of the professional learning models in an example of practice for you. The thinking classroom approach meets the writing revolution. We're excited.
So in a thinking classroom, we would do this together on whiteboards in a group of 3. The teacher would provide us with a short list of strategies or questions to use as a group and add more as needed. For this evening, we will walk through the strategies that we would give to students and show you an example of how a piece of writing was revised based on those strategies. In modeling the process of revision, students would be provided with an unelaborated sentence, such as, "Rainbow schools are good places to learn." I think we can all acknowledge that's a good sentence. But we know from literacy practice test results and from other assessments that students need support and encouragement to write more detailed sentences. Because we know that students have more thinking to share, the teacher would ask some specific questions to elicit more details, more thinking. What is there to do? Why are rainbow schools wonderful? Who learns here? How do you know they enjoy it? Then, as a next step, a teacher would ask the students to develop their ideas further, but with a framework for that task. You can see on the screen that there is a strategy focus. In this case, it's to add a sentence or 2. Once developed, we would ask students to revise their work and make use of transition words to explicitly tie those ideas together if they did not link naturally. Depending on the type of writing we are doing, we might direct students to a particular set of transition words. This may entail referring to a relevant anchor chart for the task, such as the ones you can see on the slide. In the next step, we would ask students to examine their sentence for length and coherence. We ask them to consider connecting short sentences or sentence fragments with subordinating conjunctions. Teaching students to use subordinating conjunctions is a very effective teaching strategy in encouraging expressions of deeper thinking and reasoning, and is an explicit curriculum expectation in the revised curriculum. And I'll turn it over to Amanda to finish how this turned out.
The last step in the revision process for this task is to enhance vocabulary. Questions that a teacher might ask at this stage are, is there a better word than good that could be used in the first sentence? What can we say to extend this sentence? For example, learn and. Is there a verb or adjective you could use to make your sentence sparkle? Finally, here you can see the results of the revision strategies, all having occurred through collaboration and immediate teacher feedback. Rainbow schools are exciting places for all students to learn and grow. In particular, they learn to read and write with confidence because their teachers provide opportunities for thinking and collaboration in literacy-rich learning environments. These memorable moments form the basis of deep learning for the students we serve. In this example, we can see that implementing the Thinking Classrooms pedagogy resulted in the expansion of student thinking, allowing for the application of learning and improve the quality of writing, which all develop literacy skills. Students use their reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills to collaborate in this revision activity. The end product is a more descriptive paragraph containing intentional word choice that better displays their reasoning. We believe that a structured yet multi-layered approach to supporting literacy skills with more emphasis on writing, as the revised curriculum asks of us, is resulting in more student confidence, deeper and extended thinking, and greater achievement in classrooms.
Thank you, Kara and Amanda, and thank you to all of the members of the program team who are working in schools to support teacher capacity and student literacy levels. And we thank you here tonight for the opportunity to highlight the work that we are doing through the system. Our students are more confident readers and writers, and this means that their skills are improving. And at this time, we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks very much. So we'll open it up for questions or comments. Trustee Clement.
Thank you, Madeline and staff. Excellent presentation. Is this our model or the provincial model?
Great question. So the one thing that the province provides for us is the curriculum. So we rely on good research and best practices across the province, and that are supported by the Ministry of Education to implement the curriculum. And this is one of those practices, the Thinking Classroom. Dr. Liddell consults with Ministries of Education actually regularly, and has been instrumental in how we support especially mixed ability classrooms, and we can say de-streamed classrooms in that way as well. So it's a very interesting shift from the teacher at the front of the room providing information, which we still see and is still very important. But it's when we change things up in a classroom environment so it's different and responsive to what the students need, then we can shift the thinking and the speaking to the students. Right? We still have direct teacher explicit instruction during that moment, but they're, instead of at the front of the room, in the middle of students in the moment. So it's not, to answer your question, it's not a thou shalt operate this way from the Ministry of Education, but it is a supported research, tried and true strategy that is having a good impact. And it comes from math. You don't often see math and literacy, jiving like they have been. And they really, like I'm looking at Superintendent, I call her Superintendent Math, but Superintendent Fisher, who's responsible for a lot of the math excellence that's happening right now. And she can attest to the fact that this is an extension of that practice. So we can see it in a geography class too. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Any further questions, comments? We have Trustee Cosmerly, followed by Trustee Corbier-Addison.
Just one question. Great presentation, first of all, but my question is about AI, because there seems to be such an emphasis now on AI. Do you see that pulling away from this work, or can you see it melding in some way with the work that you're already doing?
Such a great question at an interesting time in the world in education. This strategy in particular, if we just want to talk about the Thinking Classroom strategy or the learning that's happening in the writing revolution, is it didn't come out of a response to artificial intelligence, but it certainly has allowed us to respond in a way that provides opportunities daily in classrooms for students to generate their own thinking and have their own voice. You know, I think, in fact, it would allow for students to have to call upon that if they are interested in using AI, or if that's something that's part of their experience at home. That's not something that we're using in classrooms at this time, and in fact, we're trying to move away from, you heard Amanda say, less use of the Chromebook or the computer. Not that those aren't good tools, but we have lots of other tools at our disposal, and let's get up to the whiteboard with a marker and use a pencil and deepen our thinking in that way. Yeah. So I figured we might get that question, Trustee Cosmerly, and thank you for that.
Trustee Corbett-Addison, followed by Trustee Hunda.
I really appreciate your in-depth presentation of all the types of literacy support that are going on across the board with different sectors of the staff. I'm just wondering about the Lunch and Learn and the bite-sized PD. Mm-hmm. Are those things that are mandated by the board?
Not at all.
Just recommended?
They're just voluntary opportunities. So it really does speak to the fact that our staff and Rainbow Schools are eager to learn and participate so often in things that are and bring best practice to their spaces in their classrooms. And so they are certainly voluntary, and our staff stays after work and creates presentations and sits in lunchrooms and invites people to drop in, and they get that participation. So not at all mandatory, but I think appreciated by our staff when they have those opportunities to volunteer their time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Trustee Hunda.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. I just want to thank you, Melanie and your team, for all the work that you do. I love it. I'm obviously a creature, a lifelong learner, and I love when you do these presentations to not only explain to us what a lot of these terms that we often hear. I'm also a very avid reader and researcher as things come out and changes come, and there's a lot of times there's words and terms that I have no idea what they're talking about, and I have to go. So I love when we get a presentation that allows me to learn that, and I really want to thank you. And I think that the result is in the pudding. You know, when we've had results in our EQAO testing, and I think that I'm so supportive of the teaching practices where it's much more collaborative and out of the seat learning. And I think that as opposed to just sitting in your seat being lectured, I believe that students do learn a lot more when they are part of the process and working with the teacher. So I want to thank you so much for all that you do. I want to thank you so much for the knowledge that I'm coming away from. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Trustee Green.
Thank you so much for this presentation. My question is, are similar resources like the PA Day and strategies like the Thinking Classrooms available and accessible to the French teachers that are teaching French classes?
Excellent question, Trustee Green. Yes. In fact, those subject council meetings that we talked about, sort of the, I'll use the word rejuvenation of subject councils. Once again, those were sort of on pause during a pandemic, and as we slowly get back to normal, we gather again to have that really powerful in-person, in this room, in fact, next week we'll have a subject council meeting, and their French teachers, French immersion and core French, are part of that learning. So yes, they do have that opportunity. Welcome.
Anything further? Well, Principal Bertrand, Mel, Kara, and Amanda, I just wanted to say from all of us, thank you very much for your leadership and your enthusiasm and your support of all the students and the staff at Rainbow District School Boards. This is just absolutely amazing stuff that you're doing. I just had a couple of comments that I wanted to make. You know, I've been around for a long time, and I was really, once again, absolutely impressed to see how language has changed over the years. And I wrote down vertical non-permanent surface. And I thought, what the heck is that? But then I realized that I'm old now, and when I went to school, it was called a chalkboard. So, but wonderful. Certainly, we're developing our language skills in Rainbow District School Board. The second thing I wanted to say is I am extremely pleased that we're using Canadian research. We do great things in education in this country, and the fact that we are using our own well-researched university and colleges is really very important to me personally, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. I think the last comment that I had, which is, once again, it was about the book club, and I know, having been in the system for years, the commitment that teachers have to improving their professional practice. And, you know, we have to always say publicly that the job that educators do is a passion. And it's not a 9-to-5 job. Our professional people in our system go way above and beyond what the day-to-day needs are of the job. And I think we should say every chance that we can to say thank you and how much we appreciate they do for the children, the kids, and our community in general. So once again, thank you so much. You guys did a fantastic job, and we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now back to business. We're in section D now, reports from the closed meeting. There was no motions that emanated out of our closed meeting, so we'll move on to section D, and that's old business. And we have previous minutes, and we have a motion that the minutes of the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, March 19th be approved. We need a mover, please. Moved by Trustee Dubosky and seconded by Trustee Dewar. Any questions, comments, changes? Seeing none, we'll move to the roll call. Or to the vote, I should say.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrell.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
In favor.
And Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
Motion's carried.
Thanks very much. Next section, E, number 2, reports and recommendation from boards committees. We have none tonight. Number 3, 2023-2024 school year update, and we'll turn the mic over to Director Bourget to give us a report. Director.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. Trustees, as always, I welcome the opportunity to provide an update on strategic directions, the vision, mission, values, and priorities that guide our work. I'm going to begin this evening where we left off. You may recall Trustee Judy Cosmerly talking about getting her nails done at Confederation Secondary School. I want to provide a bit more context for you about the hair and aesthetics program at Confederation, where there is now a new flex room. The space was redesigned to fit the needs of this growing program, which is part of the trades. This flexible space allows Confederation to offer full spa services as well as hairstyling. Students are learning about the industry and gaining business skills to work in this sector. They learn to cut and color hair and perform spa services, including facials and manicures. The culminating activity for this course is a week-long spa event where the school community can book appointments for a service, allowing the students to showcase their learning. The trades continue to flourish at Confederation Secondary School, and I'll give you more examples later in my update. Students enrolled in the Specialist High Skills major in construction, for instance, are creating greenhouses with Valley View Public School, an excellent experiential learning project guided by staff. Students are also supporting Think Trades trailer activities. The team at Confederation helped to develop this trailer along with our coordinator in this area of study. And the Think Trades trailer touring Rainbow schools has been a huge success. Also at our last strategic planning meeting, Trustee Corbier-Addison highlighted Charles C. McLean Public School for its tremendous fundraising efforts for Jump Rope for Heart. We could call it the little school that could. And if you look at the pictures, there's some athletes here. C.C. McLean, with 176 students, had an outpouring of support from the community for their Jump Day on March 28th. They raised $13,712 for the Heart and Stroke Foundation, which is absolutely amazing. This was a whole school initiative. Students from kindergarten to grade 8 participated in the event, and when this news was shared with you, the school had raised the most money of all participating schools in Canada. There are other Jump Rope for Heart events that are still scheduled to take place, so it is possible that another school could exceed this fundraising total. But either way, Charles C. MacLean on Manitoulin Island has proven that a small school has a big heart and a big impact. And as always, you can see by these images, the students were certainly happy to demonstrate their positive energy. So congratulations to C.C. MacLean. Walden Public School received a certificate from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs for their Fresh from the Farms fundraiser. Walden was named one of the top 10 schools in the province with the most funds raised. The Coppercliff Public School Green Team garnered a $500 Action Project grant from the Learning for a Sustainable Future. Funds were used to grow hydroponic vegetable growing kits. Students are creating a vegetable garden at the school. And through this project, students will develop a greater understanding about where food comes from, how to plant and care for seedlings, and how to plant a garden. Also, at the last strategic planning meeting, you may recall that we had a presentation from Sarah Clark, our mental health lead, and Matt Coots, our physical literacy and physical education coordinator for kindergarten to grade 12. The focus was on mental health and well-being. And as you know, the board received ministry funding to introduce cricket into our schools. The editor of Sudbury.com reached out to see if he could try his hand at the game. We'll show you
Hey folks, Mark Gentile here from Sudbury.com. I'm at the LaSalle Lancer Dome. My wicket is sticky and I'm learning to play cricket. Well, thanks very much for having us today and showing me how to play this game. I am not a sports guy, so this should be hilarious and embarrassing for me. So thank you very much for your time and for helping embarrass me. Good. Thank you for the applause. You're my favorite.
Yeah, well, I think the closest relative to cricket is baseball in terms of you've got two teams, you're both trying to outscore each other. Unlike baseball, you don't have multiple innings unless you play a test match, which we won't get into, but the basics of the game is one batting team, one fielding team. Unlike baseball, though, the pitch, which is what we play on, or the wicket, is in the middle of an oval, and there's a boundary that goes all the way around.
Okay.
Unlike baseball, if you hit the ball over the fence on a full, like a home run, it will be worth 6 runs in cricket. If it bounces or rolls on the way to the boundary, you get 4 runs. Okay. And then the other runs are scored by running between the 2 wickets with the 2 batters who are in at that time. There is a need for it because we're seeing it in the community. We're seeing the people who want to be playing it, but we also want to make sure that we are representing cultures within our classrooms, and that's how we tie in. It creates excitement, there's joy, and we've seen today like how much fun these students are having learning something, but also the students who have experience are now connecting with other students that would not have seen the game before. So it's twofold in regards to how we look at this. But
does it represent sort of the changing demographics a bit of the city?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cricket's played in a lot of parts of the world, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, South Africa, New Zealand, the Caribbean, England. So everything we do should reflect where our society is, and our society in regards to our culture and our demographic has changed a lot. So we're trying to expose our students as much as we can to as many activities we can that do represent their areas.
You hold your ball like this, like a claw.
Okay.
And then you spin and throw it.
Hold the ball like a claw, and then so a full arm revolution kind of a thing?
Yeah.
All right. You show me how to do it. Show me how to do it. Ready? Okay. Oh, look at that!
See that? So the bat will be horizontal, nice and tight in that hand. These line up with the spine of the bat. It's like a little human. It's got body parts. Loose in this hand, tight in that hand, and then elbows nice and relaxed.
Well, no, but go for it. Oh, I'm out. Go on that side. Oh. All right, I want to thank everyone from LaSalle Secondary for hosting us here at the Lancer Dome today, where we learned a little bit about cricket. We had an awesome time. If you have any ideas for what you would like the staff at Sudbury.com to try, send us an email to editor@Sudbury.com. And on that note, me, Mark Gentile, the editor at Sudbury.com, wants to thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
So trustees, please know that we have more ideas for staff tries, and we do hope to welcome Mr. Gentili into our schools again. You'll see examples of positive energy throughout my update to you this evening. This is that time of year when there are many culminating activities, those system-wide events that showcase student success and give us opportunities to celebrate. Let's begin with the Sudbury Regional Science Fair held on April 6th and 7th. 7 projects from Llewellyn Park, 6 elementary and 1 secondary were selected to move on to the Canada-wide Science Fair in Ottawa from May 25th to June 1st. We're delighted that the projects selected to represent Sudbury at the Canada-wide Science Fair are from Rainbow District School Board. The young scientists from Llewellyn earned the honor of showcasing their discoveries on the national stage, and we're certainly very proud of them. We'd like to congratulate Ben Kawa, Felix Nagy, Eden Abels, Jack O'Connell, Violet Simon, Camille Landry, and Xavier Samard. We also thank our staff for their tremendous leadership and support of our students. Xavier Samard was voted Best in Fair for his project on capturing wind energy in cars. Xavier is a grade 8 student in the French immersion program at Llewellyn Park. Congratulations, Xavier. Educators Dan Monty of Llewellyn Park Secondary School and Yana Bauer of Manitoulin Secondary School were selected by First Canada as recipients of the 2024 Ontario Woody Flowers Finalist Award at the recent First Robotics Provincial Championships in Mississauga. The award celebrates the body of work in advancing STEM in schools, as well as supporting students as their mentors. As finalists, both educators are now eligible to win the award at the World Championship in future seasons. Congratulations. Rainbow District School Board will host a half-day symposium aimed at creating and enhancing school-based support for students from grade 9 to 12 who identify as 2S LGBTQ+, as well as students with friends in these communities. Since its inception in 2009, the event is expanded to include poverty, race, culture, and disabilities. The conference will take place on Thursday, April 18th from 9:30 to 1 p.m. at Lockerbie Composite School. Throughout the event, students will enjoy workshops on many topics, including dealing with anxiety, creating perseverance and resilience, safety in schools and safe places, and inclusivity. Over 180 grade 7 and 8 students from Rainbow Schools will participate in the Math, Science, and Technological Olympics on Wednesday, April 24th at Science North. This event has become a tradition for Rainbow Schools where students apply what they're learning in the classroom in an enjoyable and creative way. In the morning, students will begin by answering questions to test their knowledge and skills in math, science, technology, and coding, followed by a technological design challenge prepared by Science North staff in the afternoon. We're very fortunate to have Science North in our community where students have access to leading-edge activities for hands-on learning. Destination Readiness will take place on Tuesday, April 30th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the local 6500 Hospitality Conference and Education Center on Brady Street. Destination Readiness is a special event that connects students with special needs, and their families, and teachers directly with community agencies to provide programming and support. Rainbow District School Board held its second career fair on Saturday, April 6th. It was another tremendous success. 179 interviews took place, including 20 elementary occasional teachers, 16 secondary occasional teachers, 30 cleaners, 64 administrative assistants, 23 designated early childhood educators, and 26 educational assistants. All of our interview time slots were filled. We also had many more prospective candidates who dropped off resumes. I'd like to thank the Human Resources staff under the leadership of Manager Tiffany Hayes for being wonderful ambassadors for Rainbow Schools, and I'd also like to thank our administrators and managers who were on site all day on Saturday to conduct these interviews. The Career Fair, as you know, is one of many ways we're going the extra mile to recruit staff to our schools. Rainbow Schools will celebrate Education Week from May 6th to 10th. This year's theme for Education Week in Rainbow Schools will be Spotlight on Literacy and Numeracy. The Ministry of Education has asked schools to focus on reading, writing, and math, as well as the trades and STEM. In the coming weeks, we will share a list of Education Week activities on the board website. Schools have been doing great work in literacy and numeracy, as you see, which is the foundation for learning in all subject areas. We look forward to celebrating our students, our staff, and our schools. Rainbow District School Board held its 17th annual Technological Skills Competition at Cambrian College on February 29th. and the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners Local 2486 in Azilda on March 5th. Some 150 secondary and 160 elementary students tested their skills in a variety of trades and activities from 3D character animation to cabinet making, welding, and Lego robotics. We're excited to send a proud contingent of students from Rainbow Schools to the Provincial Tech Skills Competition. They are in this photo during a launch event held at Cambrian College on April 3rd. As you know, the trades offer exceptional opportunities for students, and we congratulate all participants as they showcase their skills among the best in Ontario. The 2024 skills competition takes place on May 6th and 7th at the Toronto Congress Centre, with more than 2,400 students competing in 70 different events. Rainbow District School Board has 26 grade 7 and 8 students attending from our schools, and they're competing in character animation, construction, green energy, Lego mechanical engineering, Lego robotics, technology, and TV video production. We also have a number of secondary students competing in a wide variety of categories. During International Women's Week last year, staff at Geneva House reached out to Sudbury Secondary School with an idea. 1 year later, this idea has come to fruition. The students were asked to create art for the walls of the Geneva House along with the themes of Every Woman Counts and Embrace Equity. The goal of the project was to make the space more welcoming and more supportive to women. Students worked both collaboratively and or individually to express their feelings about gender equality. Most students created paintings that showed both the strength and compassion of women. On Wednesday, March 27th, a year after beginning the project, students visited Geneva House to deliver their artwork and watch it being hung. The colorful paintings explore rebirth, healing, and resilience. Our family portal opened today for 2 pilot schools. I'd like to thank the staff from Larchwood Public School and Lively District Secondary School for supporting us with this pilot initiative. Family Portal gives parents and guardians access to data about their children in the school's student information system, including attendance, report cards, and unofficial transcripts. We encourage families from both schools to visit the portal throughout the next few weeks, and we'll be sending families a survey to share their feedback with us in May. The goal of the Family Portal is to further engage parents and guardians in their child's education. We will review the feedback from our pilot schools to determine our next steps. Churchill Public Schools Student Parliament, along with the kindergarten class, recently visited the local SPCA. Students enjoyed time with the animals, made animal puppets, and presented a check from the school bake sale in the amount of $1,319.75. This is just another wonderful example of how students in Rainbow Schools are giving back to our community. Students at Barrydown College worked with their teachers to create moccasins. Students participated in a walking out ceremony, rocking their mocks while enjoying a traditional feast. The project brings culture and curriculum together. Students learn about making moccasins, practicing their sewing skills, showcasing creativity, and focusing on wellness and community as they complete the project as a group. They also experience the pride and joy of making something very meaningful. The chessboard was the new chalkboard for students in Rainbow Schools who honed their skills at the 4th Annual Elementary Chess Tournament on April 11th. The full-day event brought together over 230 students from grade 1 to 8 to play chess. Chess offers students many benefits, including the opportunity to build on analytical, strategic, and concentration skills. Chess also improves self-regulation, patience, logic, creativity, memory, and self-confidence. Congratulations to all, and many thanks to retiree Fiona Ferguson, who works with our schools to coordinate this tournament. Truth and Reconciliation was the focus of our system-wide Professional Activity Day on April 8th. As we continue to implement the Commitment to Action plan adopted by the board, we welcome 2 speakers, Joe Crona and Kevin Lamoureux. We shared a copy of Joe Crona's book with all schools to deepen their understanding of Indigenous learners and, just as importantly, practices our educators can implement to further engage students. Joe Crona emphasized the importance of relationships, building and creating connections. She reminds us that learners bring the whole of who they are to the learning environment. We need to explicitly value who people are and where they come from to ensure that the education system is responsive and relevant. Joe Crona inspired us to celebrate and respond to the diversity of learners, have expectations that every learner can be successful, provide necessary supports for learners to achieve, grounded in relationships, support learners in understanding their own gifts, encourage students to use their strengths to grow in other areas, and stimulate a passion for learning so students can carry it with them throughout their life. She talked about her work in British Columbia and a vision of an education system where every learner has dignity, purpose, and options. Those three powerful words, dignity, purpose, and options, certainly spoke to us. Kevin Lamoureux made many presentations to our staff. He talked about the intergenerational trauma and reminded us that what we don't transform, we will transmit. It was an urgent call to action as trauma gains momentum from generation to generation. Kevin invited us to reflect on how we see more young people reaching their potential and to being the people they were meant to be. We all want our students to enter schools and breathe a sigh of relief because they know they're in a good place. He said we have an opportunity to reimagine schools as places of healing. I'd like to thank our Indigenous Education Department for leading us in learning that day, including Principal Nicole Nicholas Baer and Indigenous Systems Support Hazel Fox Recollet. I'd also like to very sincerely thank our own Vice Chair, Linda Dubosky, for joining us and sharing her wisdom. Vice Chair Dubosky opened the day and closed the day, reminding us that reconciliation or reconciliation is a journey. She expressed her deep gratitude to staff for all that they do to connect with learners through academics, athletics, and other opportunities that build self-confidence. It was a great day for learning and reflection. Staff were engaged here, as you see in the picture, at the Center for Education and in all schools. We recognize that truth and reconciliation is a collective responsibility. This work rests with all of us, and the PA Day was a call to action for each and every one of us in our respective roles with the board. Our speakers invited us to reflect on what we can do differently as we continue our journey towards truth and reconciliation, always with an open mind and an open heart. I'm pleased to share that a signing ceremony for education service agreements with the First Nations served by the board will take place on Thursday, May 16th at 11 a.m. at Laurentian University's Indigenous Sharing and Learning Center. As we switch to kindergarten, we reached out to schools to see what's happening in kindergarten and are excited to share the deep learning taking place, which is a real tribute to our teacher and DEC teams. Here's an example. Students at McLeod's Public School love apples. They read about the life cycle of an apple tree, and they used apples to measure their height. The smell, taste, and look of apples prompted them to explore their 5 senses. They used their sense of sight to learn about shadows, colors, and light. Senses are a fundamental part of how children learn about the world, and they're excited to listen to the sounds of nature and smell the apple crisp baking, and best of all, taste what they made. We plan to share these vignettes on our Facebook page as we celebrate learning and get ready to welcome our new kindergarten students at orientation sessions this May. These sessions will be held in all Rainbow schools, and on the slide you see some of those. They're also on our website, and we want to commend our administrators, teachers, and all school staff for ensuring that we continue to realize our mission, which is together we prepare students to become lifelong learners, achieving their full potential as confident, caring members of society. It's an honor for us to fulfill this mission on behalf of the board. And I want to thank you all for the opportunity to provide this brief update. I'd be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director. Any questions for our Director? I'm looking online here. Seeing that, I just want to say thank you, Bruce, for the great work. These are wonderful snapshots about what's going on throughout the Rainbow District School Board, and it really helps us to understand all the good work that's going on. So thank you very much. So we'll continue with our agenda now. We're moving on to letter F, which is new business, and the first item of business is the Ontario Public School Board Association Annual General Meeting, and I'll turn to Trustee Cosmerly to have a couple of words.
Okay. The annual general membership meeting, as well as the Canadian Congress get together, and the Indigenous, I have it written down here. Where is it? anyway, it's the Indigenous Learning Group as well. It's the Indigenous Gathering on Education, that's what it's called, is meeting in Toronto July 3rd to 5th. The AGM is the highlight of the year for OPSPA. It's an opportunity to get together, and I'll be talking a little bit more in my notes. This is a big year because this is an election year. So I encourage people to get out to meet other trustees from across the country and to enjoy. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cosmerly. So we have a motion tonight that the board approve the attendance of the following trustees at the 2024 Canadian School Board Association Congress and National Trustee Gathering of Indigenous Education in Toronto on July 3rd through 5th, 2024. That'll be moved by Trustee Cosmerly, and we'll go for names too. And we'll need a seconder also on that before we go any further. We're going to be seconded by Trustee McCauley. Okay, so we're looking for names for this this conference. So Trustee Cosmerly, Trustee Clement. Trustee Clement, did you have your hand up to attend? Yes. Trustee Gibson and Trustee Hunda also. Trustee Corbier-Addison, Trustee Tabasky, Trustee Farrow also. Thank you. So we have the motion that's moved by Trustee Cosmerly and duly seconded. All those in favor, we'll do a poll vote, please.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Tabasky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrow.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
In favor.
Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Thanks very much. Section F2 on our agenda, we move to the Ontario Student Trustees Association Annual General Meeting. And I'll look to Trustee Green for a couple of words before we go on with the motion.
The Ontario Student Trustee Association Conference is a very important conference. It gets the student voice out to across Ontario to all student trustees across Ontario. It's especially important because we will be sending our two incoming student trustees, Alex and Tia, and they get to learn about their position and kind of what it's going to look like next year. OSTA provides great resources for the incoming student trustees about loads of stuff, and also is a great networking opportunity so that student trustees can talk to other student trustees and just form great ideas throughout Ontario. And so that's why I'm in favor of this motion.
Right on. Trustee Hunda.
I was just trying to move the motion.
Okay, so we have the mover of the motion is Trustee Hunda. We'll need a seconder also. So, Trustee Cosmerly, I'll read the motion that the board approve the attendance of Student Trustee Green and Student Trustee Jacko Simon and the two incoming student trustees at the 2024 OSTA-AECO Annual General Meeting, May 23rd to 26th, 2024 in Toronto. Any further discussion? So we'll call for the vote. Director Bourget?
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Tabasky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrow.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
Favor.
Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. On our agenda, Section F, number 3, notice of absence, and Student Trustee Jacko Sywent is absent this evening. Next section of our agenda, F4, Director's Remarks. Director Bourget.
Thank you, Chair Farrow. I have some brief remarks. First off, the board awards. Rainbow District School Board will pay tribute to its dedicated employees and community partners with the presentation of board awards on Tuesday, May 14th. The ceremony begins at 6:30 p.m. in the Sheridan Auditorium at Sudbury Secondary School. The board's retirement dinner will take place on Tuesday, May 28th at the Crusoe Club. We look forward to the opportunity to celebrate our retirees, and we hope we can see some of you there if its schedule permits. With regard to budget, we have not yet received the grants for student needs. and budget information for next year from the Ministry of Education. In the days and weeks ahead, we will receive this information and we'll unpack this and continue with our planning for the next school year. So you can look forward to more information to come in future meetings. Graduations are not far away, trustees, so we ask that you please check your calendars for availability. It's important for our planning that you can let us know which graduations you can attend. We will definitely make sure to try to attend with you or on other graduations to make sure that there is either administrative presence or trustee presence at all graduations. So when you submit that information to us, it's very helpful for our planning as well. I know you do have the information, so if you can get back to Cindy Whitson, that would be wonderful. Also, last point, administrative transfers and appointments. At an upcoming meeting, I will provide details on administrative transfers and appointments for the next school year. Staffing for next year has started, and our principals are working very hard on their schedules and staff their schools for the fall. And last, I'd like to say very happy birthday to both Cindy Whitson and Superintendent Adam Gilbo. It's a special day for both of them, so please be kind. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Director. So the Ontario Public School Board Association Director Report and Trustee Cosmerly.
Thank you. I'm more organized now. I attended the Northern Region Council meeting on April the 6th, as well as Trustee Corbier-Addison. There were 18 trustees on the call from across the north in all, and there's several pieces that were discussed that I just want to share tonight. First is that OPSPA is hosting the Canadian School Board Association Congress. See, I knew I had it written down. And the National Trustee Gathering on Indigenous Education, along with its own AGM at the Weston Harbour Castle Hotel in Toronto on July 3rd to 5th. Beautiful hotel. This should be a great meeting and an opportunity to meet trustees from across Canada. Registration for the conference is now open. Early bird rates are in effect until the end of April, and trustees who are planning to attend are encouraged to book their hotel rooms before June the 11th. In order to take advantage of the special OPSPA room rate, which I will just say is much cheaper than the Sheraton rate. This is an election year for all positions. On the executive and for committee positions, including the positions of OPSPA president, OPSPA executive, OPSPA vice president, there's 2 positions, and all regional chair positions, and it should be exciting. We know of one person who's already put in their name for the OPSPA president position. Should be interesting. The nomination deadline for all positions is June the 4th. For more information, please visit the OPSPA website. Secondly, the deadline for submission of policy resolutions and constitution bylaw amendments for consideration at the OPSPA AGM was on April 10th. Near North District School Board has submitted a policy resolution that asks OPSPA to petition the Ministry of Education to create a new mandatory high school course called Living Consciously. At the request of our Northern Council Chair, Cheryl Evans, I forwarded the policy resolution to all of our Rainbow trustees. As I may have to vote on this resolution at the AGM, provided it continues to move forward, I'm interested in knowing whether or not trustees support it. I received some excellent feedback from one trustee so far, and I welcome any other comments trustees may wish to share. As well, planning is underway for the next face-to-face Northern Council meeting, which will be held in Thunder Bay sometime in the fall. Stay tuned. Rainy River District School Board recently sent a letter to the Ministry of Education citing the serious concerns northern boards are experiencing as a result of critical teacher shortages, including challenges meeting the supply and demand for occasional teachers. Their letter asks the minister to look at proactive investments to address these shortages. This is an issue that's been raised with most, if not all, northern boards. Because the issue is so widespread and so critical, the Northern Council Chair intends to prepare a letter similar to the one written by Rainy River District School Board, have it signed by all Northern boards, and send it to the minister. And finally, as I indicated at our last regular board meeting here, the next Board of Directors meeting for OSPA delegates is on April the 26th and 27th in Toronto, following the OSPA Human Resources and Labor Relations Symposium. And that's all.
Thank you, Trustee Cosmerly. Any questions? Okay, so we'll move on to our next section, Student Trustee, Trustee Green.
Thank you, Chair. Student Senate continues to work hard on the Stand Up Speak Out conference and working out the fine details of it. It will be a one-day conference at Collège Boreal on May 9th. The conference will be running from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We wish to invite all the trustees of the board to attend. We are expecting a turnout of 100 students from across the different high schools across RDSP. I can't express how excited I am for the conference. In other news, our future student trustees, Alex from Manitoulin Secondary School and Tia from Lockerbie Composite School, have been learning from myself and trustee Jacko Sywink about our position and the OSTA conferences, and the one in May, and they're both very excited for it. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Trustee Green. Very much appreciate it. Next section of our agenda is trustee remarks. Trustee Cosmerly.
I promised Principal Bertram that I would bring the clock that I made on April the 4th. April 4th actually was a tech day, a day to support trades, especially for young women who might be interested in considering trades. There were about 18 to 20 young women plus a partner who attended that particular evening. I had to do things by myself, but I had a fair amount of help, especially with welding, because I am not a welder, but I'm apparently very good at doing grinding, so I want to show you my clock.
Great job. Great job, Trustee Cosmerly. Yes. Hidden talents we didn't know of, right?
Wonderful things happening with trades, period. And it's great if we can go out to see what's going on in the schools and try our hands at things ourselves. Thanks.
Fantastic. Trustees' remarks. Any further? Trustee Dabowski.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. I wanted to share a bit about my participation at the Rainbow District School Board Professional Development Day on April 8th. It was a day, obviously, of the solar eclipse, but more importantly, it was a day to really focus in around Indigenous education, board-wide and administration-wide as well. It was very well put together with the support of our Principal of Indigenous Education, Nicole Nicholas Beyer, and the day was opened in a very positive and welcoming, safe way with Hazel Fox Reckley. It was very inspiring for me, very personally, but also professionally, to see our educators, support staff, and everybody in Rainbow District School Board participating and being able to feel safe learning about different Indigenous perspectives and how a lot of the Indigenous perspectives can be beneficial to all Rainbow students. Our director spoke to the presentation with Joe Crona as well as Kevin Lamoureux, but we also had a session where we learned more about understanding referrals and the identification of mild intellectual disability, and really looking at our learners with special gifts. Every learner has a gift, and what can we do collectively to help support that? And Bruce spoke about the 3 words that really touched him, and I think that touched everybody. It was equally well received, I would say, as all schools had the opportunity to have discussions amongst each other in a circle type setting after each presentation. And our Indigenous sector has committed to ensure that as we move forward with these types of professional development days, that there's also consistency. And so there will be sectional focuses on Joe Corona's book, and allowing our team, our entire team, to take their time to learn and grow. It was really good, and it made me more excited again. As you know, as trustees, we approved a Truth and Reconciliation plan that's up this year. So I look forward to you know, hearing back as how we move forward again in another 5 years, and being able to share throughout the day was a very honoring for me, and I was greatly touched to be participating. I also challenged our educators and support staff board-wide to review our commitment to reconciliation, our action plan, and to have a very honest look at ourselves as to where we play a role in that, and how we can grow, and how we can fully implement these calls to action, so they just don't remain words on paper. And I think that, you know, there's an openness. I've directly seen how our principal of Indigenous education is collaborating with others and creating a safe space to have discussions where, you know, some educators may feel fearful about, you know, teaching or learning about Indigenous concepts. And so I think we're, as Rainbow District School Board, although we have a long ways to go just in society in general, I feel that we're at a very good place, and I just want to acknowledge the work of our director, our superintendents, our principal of Indigenous education, and all educators and support staff for demonstrating a tangible commitment to this and to our Indigenous learners. Indigenous learners have always faced gaps in educational attainment, and it's very important for our Indigenous learners to see themselves within a system they're in, and that will help them, you know, to achieve their goals and their dreams and their aspirations, and to help you know, society grow in general, to be a more safe and positive environment in the future. So I just want to say chimigwach for that.
Thank you, Trustee Dubowski, for those very meaningful comments. We very much appreciate it. Trustee McCauley.
I think that Indigenous students are well served by, Linda, your activities, and as well, Lisa. There isn't an issue that comes up around this table where you don't reach out to ensure that the Indigenous component is at least addressed. I'm proud to sit here and listen to what you are doing, and I know that it makes a difference for the Indigenous people, not only on Manitoulin Island, but throughout the area, throughout the region, and throughout the country. There's a lot of things that have to be done, but having people like you advocating on behalf of the Indigenous people is heartwarming, and I thank you both.
Thank you, Trustee McCauley. Any further trustee remarks? I'm looking online. Trustee Hunda, Trustee Gibson, and I have Trustee Bosky here also. Go ahead.
I forgot one more thing, that we are going to share the book by Joe Corona, Wahi Wa, Indigenous Pedagogies, an Act for Reconciliation and Anti-Racist Education, with all trustees. So you'll be seeing that in your mailboxes, and they'll be delivered to you on behalf of our Indigenous Education Department.
Thank you very much, Linda. That'll be absolutely well received. Thanks so much for that. So I'm going to look one more time online. Thanks very much. So I'll move on to the next section. It's Chair's report. So Director Bourget sort of stole my thunder because I was going to say a huge happy birthday also to Cindy Whitson. And Cindy, I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the work that you do to support us as trustees. I know that you entertain a lot of calls and you have to follow up sometime, particularly with the chair, in order to make sure that he's checking his emails. But very much appreciate the work that you do, and happy birthday, and I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your day. Also, a big happy birthday to Adam, who was probably significantly younger than most of us sitting around the table. Thank you also for the work that you're doing counting our shekels, making sure that we're putting the money towards the most important job that we do, and that's student success. So thanks very much for that. Also wanted to start my remarks with a couple other points. I wanted to say thank you to all trustees also for accommodating the change to the board meeting date at the end, from June 25th to June 17th. Now the meeting now is June 17th at 3:30 p.m. Just make sure that you have that in your schedule, and that will help us accommodate many of us that are attending graduation ceremonies during that last part of June, which is, I think, is one of the most important things that we do as part of our job, to actually go and look and see what's happening in our schools and supporting the work that our staff are doing and supporting our communities. Also, just a reminder that we are talking about Director's Performance Appraisal training, and there are webinars that are coming up. If you haven't signed up, the ministry is producing 3 times for webinars. I think the first one is tomorrow from 9:30 to 11 a.m. The next one is April 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And finally, April 20th from 9:30 to 11 a.m. So you'll get the ministry take on what's required for the Director's Performance Appraisal. We'll be discussing this at agenda setting, Linda and myself and Lisa and Judy, on Thursday morning, and we will come to you with some organization of the Director's Performance Appraisal Committee at the next Strategic Planning Committee on April 30th. So if you're interested in serving on that committee, can you please email us, and we can go from there. And the ministry is saying that we're looking to put 3 to 7 members on that committee, so please let us know. Right now, it's the chair as well as the vice chair that do the performance appraisals. Yeah, so this is a bit of a change, Trustee McCauley. Yeah. Now, the director has talked about staffing for the new school year, and knowing how many students to expect helps the planning process. So that's why we remind parents and guardians that registrations are ongoing in Rainbow's elementary schools and secondary schools. To register, please contact your area Rainbow School. If you have already registered, thank you, and we look forward to welcoming your child to Rainbow Schools this fall. As we heard earlier this evening, 7 students from Rainbow Schools will move on to the Canada-wide Science Fair in Ottawa next month. A huge congratulations to all participants for their hard work in developing their projects. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I extend well wishes to the students as they compete against the best young scientists from across the country. And I congratulate Llewellyn Park Secondary School. I know they share our pride in their young scientists. Schools will honor our planet for Earth Day on April 22nd. This year's theme is Planet versus Plastic, which aims to highlight the ongoing health risks of plastics, expedite the phasing out of single-use plastics, and strengthening our efforts to create a worldwide treaty for the prevention of plastic pollution. And the Rainbow District School Board will host Destination Readiness, Pathways for Students with Special Needs on April 30th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the local 6500 Hospitality and Conference and Education Center, formerly known as the United Steelworkers Hall. The free annual event aims to help students with needs and exceptionalities for the planning of their future. And throughout the month of May, Rainbow Elementary Schools will offer kindergarten orientation for students starting school this fall, as well as their parents and guardians. Families will have the opportunity to connect with kindergarten teachers, early childhood educators, and school personnel. They will also meet other children that will be starting school these evenings. A list of dates and times will be available on our board website. And Compost Awareness Week will take place from May 5th to May 11th. This international movement is the largest and most comprehensive educational initiative of the organic recycling industry, which recognizes the importance of composting organics and using compost to create healthier soils. And of course, Education Week is on the horizon. Between May 6th and May 10th, schools will have a variety of activities focusing on the theme Spotlight on Literacy and Numeracy. Education Week also coincides with Music Monday, which will take place on Monday, May the 6th. And the next Parent Involvement Committee meeting is set for Tuesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. Committee members will be planning the topics for the meetings coming up in 2024-2025 school year. And this is Volunteer Appreciation Week, and I would like to thank the parents, guardians, and community members who contribute to our schools in so many different ways. Our volunteers bring positive energy to our schools, and we are truly grateful for everything they do. And just a reminder to trustees to let the director's office know which graduations you will be attending, as we look forward to joining our school communities to celebrate student success. And on a personal note, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you as my colleagues, all the trustees around this table, for the help that you've given me over the last few weeks and a few months. We have such a great group of people, such wonderful congeniality that's going on, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for the work that you're doing. It is most impressive, and it really helps us move the most important thing that we do forward, and that is the governance of this board, but also the main goal is student success, and that's what we all have to continue to be focused on. So that concludes my remarks for tonight. Thank you very much. So we're getting close to the end of our agenda. We're at section G now, and information and proposals. We have reports from officials and staff. There are 3 sets of minutes there that are official now. The Parent Involvement Committee from January 30th are attached. The Parent Involvement Committee meetings from February 27th, and the Special Education Advisory Committee from March 6th. Nothing about tenders or requests for proposals, but the very important non-stop communication is the list of graduation ceremonies for both the elementary and secondary school, including stepping up ceremonies. So please let the director, Cindy, know what you can attend. And section F is future meetings. I'm not going to read those all out, but the most important one coming up for us to keep in mind, and I shouldn't say that, they are all very important meetings, but for trustees, is our next meeting is the Strategic Planning Committee for April 30th at 5 p.m. I didn't print the last page of my agenda, so I have to go to the one that Cindy gave for me here. So the last item on our agenda is adjournment, and we need a motion that we do now adjourn at 6:40 p.m. So we're going to have a mover that's moved by Trustee Clement and seconded by Trustee Hunda. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you, everybody.